What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Heath Bar. We're back. If you haven't been paying attention in the past couple weeks, there's been a lot of changes around here, and I think they're all good. So just to give a quick recap, and then we're going to jump into this episode. I've consolidated all of the different projects and things that I do and that I work on and the content that I create all under one roof. So you can find everything that I do now at heathjohnson.substack.com. That includes the podcast and the Heath Bar episodes that I've got coming on there. The episodes or the newsletter, of my music career, things I've been writing about that, where I'm going to be playing, where you can come and find me and see me. It includes, I turned 40 and I just started learning Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm getting my ass handed to me, and it's been pretty great. But I thought it'd be kind of fun to catalog my experience and my progress on doing something new to that level of intensity after turning 40. It's called Rolling Past 40 because I like to just try and be clever every now and then anyway. But that's all on there too. And then I also have my Heathenology, which is my writings and my thoughts and my meanderings really in my history and upbringing with my faith, and then my deconstruction from that, and now how I kind of view things, and just an outlet for me to really get that stuff not sitting inside my soul. So all of that's under the heathjohnson.substack.com. Just to clarify, you can subscribe to the Substack and you can get everything that I do coming directly to your inbox and your email. Or if there's only certain things that I do that you're interested in and some of it you're not, you can subscribe specifically just to the things that you want to. You can just pay attention to my music career, and you don't have to subscribe to the Heathenology or the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and all the other shit that I'm doing. So you can tailor that to yourself. We also have the Songwriter Co-op, which is on there, which is we're going to be building that up a bit more on top of the Heath Bar conversations that we have with the different artists and creators and people around here. The co-op is going to be a little bit more tailored to the art of songwriting itself. And I'm working through what that looks like and how that's going to evolve as things progress. So stay tuned to that because that's going to be a little bit more focused because the Heath Bar content, as you may have noticed from the past few episodes, the library of content on this podcast is expanding. Think of the Heath Bar podcast as the hub for everything that I'm doing, and then you can tailor your specific newsletter subscriptions on the Substack itself. But everything kind of comes to the Heath Bar. I did that on purpose. I think podcasts are a pretty cool way to share content. And rather than having multiple different podcasts for all the different things I'm doing, it's easy for podcasts. If you see an episode come up that you're not interested in, just skip it. So you don't have to do that, but that way I only really have one podcast to maintain and support and take care of. So that's why I did that here. All that to say, what you've known from the Heath Bar podcast is staying the same. We are still doing interviews, or I'm still going to be conducting those with people and getting to know people on a little bit more of an in-depth level, which is what this episode is about. So just wanted to give that to you guys just for some clarity. If you have some questions on what the hell is happening over here, it's been a kind of a whirlwind of the past few weeks getting a lot of this stuff working together. So I apologize for all the bumps and cracks and things that we've encountered the past few weeks along the way. But it should hopefully all smooth out and give us some more regularly and consistent content for us all to engage with. On top of all of that, I should mention that we are on YouTube now as well. By we, I mean me and the guests that I have here on the show. So I am doing video, as you can now see me. So the podcast is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and everywhere where you get your podcasts on audio. And if you'd like to see what's going on, I believe Spotify might allow me to do some video, so I might try to do that. But if they don't, you can watch the podcast on the YouTube channel as well. I'm going to have links to all of this stuff in the description of this episode as well, so you can pay attention to that. But I'd love it if you subscribed. I'd love it if you stay connected. There's a lot of cool things happening around here, and I've been out of the game for a few years doing some dad stuff, and that's been awesome. But I'm itching to get things back rolling and get some stuff happening here because we've got some incredible people around the area, and we need a culture that develops that and gets that rolling. So anyway, there's all the announcements for you. So Like I said, I'll have all the links and everything down in the show notes for you as well. With that, I'm pumped about this episode. Bubba Startz is a guy that I've interacted with him a couple times, with mostly text and Instagram messages throughout the years, but I've never really gotten the chance to really just get to know who he is and what he's about. I wish I would have gotten in touch with him sooner. This was one of those conversations that I left the conversation extremely fired up and ready to get things rolling. Like it felt like it was the perfect person for me to talk to really get this thing moving again. He's an insanely passionate guy. He loves what he does, and he's got a knack for just like, this is what I want to do, and this is what I do, and this is what I'm gonna do. And it was an awesome hour or so getting to chat with him, getting to hear his story and see what's going on. I'm beyond excited to share this with you, and I'm not going to take up any more of your time. So all of his information, we talk about it at the end, but it's also going to be in the show notes as well. So you can follow him and pay attention to what he's doing. Because he's a guy you're gonna wanna know. He's just a cool guy. I'm hope at some point we get to actually see each other in person and hang out. So anyway, Heath Bar patrons, heathens, whatever you want to call yourselves, whatever I want to call you, I guess, right? Let's jump into it. Here's Bubba Startz here at the Heath Bar. Well, good morning, Bubba. Cheers.
Good morning, Heath. This is a little bit different Heath Bar episode over coffee early in the morning.
It is, but I got to tell you, I was excited when you told me that you're up early because about, I would say a year ago now, I started waking up at 5 just because I wanted some more time in my day to get some stuff done that I wanted to get done. And it's been a game changer for me. Like, I love getting up early and having a few hours to myself and getting things done. So when you told me, like, yeah, I'll get up at 5, we'll just be a couple old guys sipping coffee, talking tunes, I'm like, man, that sounds like a good Sunday right there.
I wish there was more of us. I would do this every Sunday. I work 45, 50 hours a week, right? So I work in a factory. I wake up at 4:30 every day, regardless.
Gotcha.
At 37, hard to break that biological clock on Saturday and Sunday, or the random holidays. So I stopped fighting it. I can't lay in bed. The body doesn't let me do that. So I get up, and we've built ourselves. This is the 18th and Laurel Studios here in Tyndall, South Dakota. So we've built ourselves a nice little space out here that is detached from the house, right? So Dad can wake up early, make his coffee, go disappear, and let the house sleep until 8 o'clock. And I'm able to get a lot of stuff done. This is where I get my email marketing. This is where I do, a lot of the behind the scenes stuff is in these quiet moments. So
Sure. Yeah, that's a clever idea. I need to do something like that and detach it from the house, because I mean, even this, I'm like, man, are my kids gonna walk down and say hi and make a cameo appearance or anything like that?
Oh, those are the
But my
best
wife
stuff.
should be able to take care of them. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That's true. Well, hey man, I'm glad that we were able to make this work. It's been I think we've been off and on in touch, kind of interacting back and forth over a while, like sparingly, I would say. Um, and then you just recently, if I understand correctly, you had a single come out, or you had a music video come out or something, and you had
Yep.
sent it to
Last
me and
October.
we had kind of talked.
Yep. So last
Go ahead.
October we released our first Spotify, real internet release. I did an album with my dad and some guys back in the Black Hills back in 2010. But it was just such a different world then, right? It was a totally different music business then. And since streaming went, I was kind of out of music completely. So coming back into it when I moved to Tyndall, really 2020 is when I really started to ramp up my music career again after a pretty long hiatus. And we finally got a chance to work with some really great guys. Tom Freer actually did the guitars
No.
on Rise Up, which was the first single. And actually he produced the whole second single, which will be coming out here soon. But Rise Up we released in October, shot a music video last summer. Just a monumental amount of work to get one song. I mean, it was 6 months of work, right? To get one
Ugh,
song recorded, the music video, coordinate the whole release, and really push it out there. And we were able to do that October 13th last year, Friday the 13th, which also coordinated with an appearance at the Wild West Songwriters Festival. So it was great synergy
fantastic.
uh, to release my first single and to throw a big party back there in my hometown. It was really special, and that's kind of set us up now for a whole year full of releases, right? I kind of described that as a toehold. We're here, give me 3 or 4 months to kind of get the rest of the machine up and running, so that we
Yeah.
can be a little bit more consistent moving through 2024 and then 25, 26. And it's just a phrase we use a lot here is rinse and repeat. Everything we're doing is just a repeatable. It's releasing a single. Okay, hey, what did we learn this time? Can we apply that to the next? And you just keep getting better at what you're doing and continue to grow. So yeah, really excited to get that first one out in October, and yeah, really excited about March 15th when Triple Fine, our next single, is going to be coming out.
I saw that. I saw that. Yeah, that was something so I started recording my stuff. I'm doing it myself for a lot of reasons, but partly was one of my goals was to learn some type of basic um just studio mixing and mastering. I've always thought it was interesting and I want to learn it myself, but one of the things you mentioned there was, the consistency of it. And I've noticed as I've dove into learning all of this and how release schedules work and what's the kind of the smart way to do it. Man, a lot of it is singles and consistent release of singles and or EPs or a couple things like that. Either before the full album comes out or it's never an album. Like there's a lot of the indie singer songwriter genre, which I consider myself in that genre. They don't really release albums at all anymore, especially the younger generations. Like I'm 40, I just turned 40, so for me releasing music has always been seen as, oh, you put out an album. It's like a whole project, a whole work of projects and labor of love, whatever you want to call it, that you then put out. But one of the things that's happened with streaming is like that's not the most effective way anymore to get your music heard and seen and known because the way they use the algorithms and things like that. So when you were talking about consistency, was that something that you guys considered, or is that just the plan you took and it just kind of happened to fit in with that new model?
No, it's all in consideration of the business, right? So we do
Okay.
a lot of research. I'm heavy into Indiepreneur, Creative Juice podcast, a ton of great information there. A guy I follow, Rick Barker, he's Taylor Swift's former manager. These are
Oh,
people that I started to study in 2018. Um, I started to study these people and what they're doing because I knew I was going to be getting back into music. And it's like, okay, well, it's totally different from what I could because I'm 37. I'll be 38 in May. We come from the same world, right?
we're,
My
we're the
first
same, man.
albums,
Yeah.
yeah, my first albums were The Chronic, Pearl Jam 10, Metallica Black
Yeah.
Album. I think I got those three for
Okay.
Christmas, right? Um, that's
You have
just
cool
not
parents.
right. Yeah. I think it was my Uncle Billy, actually. But yeah, my
That's
parents are cool
awesome.
too. They,
That's awesome.
raised me on the Grateful Dead, and, dad was Judas Priest, and some of that
Nice.
early metal stuff, some Edge, right? AC/DC. So I grew up with a great background of awesome music and awesome albums, right?
Yeah.
Amazing albums. And then especially growing up a Deadhead, and a real appreciation for live and kind of off the cuff stuff. So that's kind of shaped a lot of where I'm at musically. But yeah, about the business, it just is what it is, right? The algorithm, it's all about fresh. Everything needs to be fresh and popping, and for that side of it. The thing is that there's a completely other way of doing the music business, right? And that's a direct to fan approach. So yeah, it's nice
Yeah.
to have all the releases and to do all those things, but we're kind of taking a different approach. The streaming it's so secondary to me because there's no money in it. I'm never going to get the amount of streams to make any money from it. So why would I dedicate a ton of time? I'm releasing the music out there and trickling it out there, just to supply something for our fans to hopefully gain new fans, right? But then it's also a goal of mine to put all those songs together at the end of the year to package as an album for people who would want it, right? So yes, we want to be consistent for the algorithm, yet those are lottery tickets. Those are just flying them out there, to see what it does. Obviously, we want to put out um, quality content, as they say. So, what I've had to do because of things like you said, scheduling, I don't have the time. I work 50 hours a week. We gig every weekend darn near. I got kids, they're in sports, they got stuff going on.
Hmm.
So I've really worked hard in this early going of this year, and really have been doing it for my whole life, but of building a network, building a team, that can function to do all of these things. I mentioned Tom Freer earlier. His involvement in Triple Fine is almost the whole song. Also got Clayton Ryan to jump on and play some bass and do some vocals on it too, right? Because he happens to
Nice.
be in town. What a lucky guy I am.
Yeah.
I said, Tom, here's the demo. Do your thing. You're a way better guitar player than I am anyway. Just go do your thing. Send me back the song. I'm more than capable of doing vocals in this building, in this room.
Sure.
But to capture guitar tones and mix and do all, I don't know any of that. Man, Tom went to school for this stuff. He's a brilliant mind. He's produced some
Hmm.
unbelievable records out of his studio there in Rapid City. Obviously, Devin Sants. I encourage anyone to go listen to all of Devin Sants,
Oh yeah.
his whole
Yeah.
catalog. And that's all Tom. It's a pleasure for me to get to work with guys that are not only friends of mine, but are super talented and are out there doing
Hmm.
their thing anyway. So that's the only way that I could stay consistent. It took me 6 months of working on my own to get one song done. Tom had Triple Fine done in November. You know, I sent it to him. All the
Yeah.
music's there, and I
Yeah.
and I paid him up for it. But it took me another 6 weeks to even be prepared to do the vocals on it. So it's not easy, to do that. You would probably have to sit and toil, for 2 years to be able to backlog the releases to be able to release them like that. You know, um,
Yeah.
and
No,
I just
you're
don't.
definitely right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see
Uh,
the benefit to doing that. I'm very fortunate, not everybody has a Tom Freer a phone call away,
right.
right? Not everybody has access to all of these things, and I understand how fortunate I am. But that's also why I'm going to use those resources and to keep trying to get a great product, out there for our fans, and then hopefully being able, like I said, to package that as an album, at the end of the year when it's proven that there's people out there that want it. Streaming's great because I actually use a service called 1RPM. I pay zero for distribution. I don't pay a monthly subscription, a yearly. I don't
Oh
pay
wow.
DistroKid. They'll never take my stuff down. 1RPM is a great resource for other musicians just getting into it. So I have no overhead to release the streaming. I don't. It's whatever I pay for the recording of the song and then put it out there. So
Hmm.
it's not necessarily part of our business model. It's just content. To me, it's no different than posting on Facebook or Instagram, right? It's just a matter of releasing content out there, and it's something great for me because I love writing songs. I have 30, 40
Sure.
songs that are ready to be recorded that I've just been sitting on for 2 decades, Heath. It's time to get these songs out there.
Good. We are the same, man. You sound a lot like me. I've had the songs I'm working on right now have been sitting on for at least 10 years. Some of them, 8 to 10 years, I should say. And um, I had that, there's the idea that if it's your song and you don't record it, and God forbid something happens to you, that song is gone forever. It's gone. So
Right.
like that's kind of, and it's not. I mean, not because I turned 40, but it was just something where it's like, this is something I've created, something I've done, and I want to enjoy one, getting to listen to it when I don't have to play it, because sometimes, like, if you write a song that you enjoy hearing yourself, like, yeah, I kind of want to just listen to it, but I don't want to have to pull my guitar out every time I want to hear the song. But two, just recognizing that, on some way, shape, or form, you completed something, right? Now, I'm of the mind that that a song is never really done. Like, it can always evolve even after it's recorded, and that's more like a snapshot of where the song was at that time. Like, you're taking a picture of your kid, and then they grow up and they change. But even that, there's still a level of completion in writing a song, putting it together, and then performing it, and then having it recorded and out there for people to listen to. It's a big project, and when it's done and it's there, it's a good feeling. Like, I put my single out a month ago, and I mean, yeah, there's things I don't like about it, but there's things I do, but I felt like, hey, I completed something at least. There's something I can hang my hat on at least a little bit and say, yep, I got one thing done.
Right, right. And I totally feel that. I mean, Rise Up was such a process because we started the recording at home in like February and starting to try to
Oh, okay.
record tracks in here and in my garage, and just all the problems you were facing. We had a producer, Stefan, great guy out of Nashville, awesome partner in this, taught us a whole lot. But I mean, he was really just like dragging us through the process because we didn't
Sure.
record drums to a click track. We didn't do this. So he's getting this files and looking and just going, what are you doing? And I'm
What
like,
do I do with
I
this?
don't know. I don't know what I'm doing,
Yeah,
help
yeah.
me. So he really was a huge help in really teaching us and holding our hand through that whole process. And definitely someone that we'll work with in the future again. He's down in Nashville, and this is what he does for a living. He's a recording engineer and producer, and he works with um, a lot of different people on a lot of different projects. And he gave me confidence because he's listened to the songs and he's like, you got something, right? Your songs are good. They
Hmm.
have pop qualities. Um, that's but this is how you need to be recording, and these are the things that you need to do to really get people in the industry to start paying attention. And
Sure,
that's where it
sure.
kind of like, do I even care? Do people care about almost 40-year-old man from South Dakota in the industry? You know what I mean? I'm not the next hot thing. So am I doing it for them? Am I doing it for
Hmm.
them? And the answer is no. I've never done it for them. I've done it selfishly for myself. These songs all come from me. They come from right here. I say, when on stage, I'll talk a lot about, I wrote these songs from my heart to yours, right?
Hmm.
And I hope that they touch you that way, because that's what music should do. A lot of my songs have come from a point of deep personal pain or pleasure, or a
Yeah.
mix of the both, or so I'm not doing it for an industry, especially in country music, which is kind of my only avenue in, Heath. Rock music is so far from what I kind of have an alternative bent, but there's nobody playing alt rock. There's no bands
Yeah.
um, like Pearl Jam and some of the bands that I grew up with. That, yeah, everything's so heavy in rock music now. I don't fit that. I don't fit that at all. Country is the only place where storytellers are still. Thank God for guys like Jelly Roll. I mean, Jelly Roll's story is my story. I'm a felon. When I
Oh,
saw him, I
okay.
was like, oh man, I can go tell my story. I can go
Yeah.
out there and I don't have to be some whitewashed, version of what I think people want to be. I can be real, and people are going to gravitate, because that's who I am in real life, Heath. I don't
Right,
hide
right.
anything from anyone. So it's starting to be more open with that in our in our performances, in our content, in our just being, in our whole branding, right? Is that we're real people. We are behind everything you see, every email that is sent from us. I'm writing myself. We're not using AI. I tried it.
Hmm.
I sent an AI email once and I was just like, that's gross. It doesn't
It's
sound
not
like
quite
me.
there.
It's
No,
not, well,
no.
it's just not the function of my email list. My email list
Yeah.
is my connection directly to you, Heath. You gave me your
Right.
address essentially, you know?
Yeah.
So I sent you a letter. I call it, you know, our digital Christmas cards every year, you know,
Hmm.
and every month. I want to keep you informed of what we're doing without relying on social media to do that. You know, we spend a lot of money just to get our stuff in front of people every year.
Yeah.
Um, so once I get an email address, that whole thing changes. Um, and that's become a big part of our growth and of our business model moving forward. And that kind of brings us to our swag bags. You see the Ruthie's bag behind me and some
I
of our
do. Yeah.
sponsors. So yeah, so now we work with local businesses to provide them advertising. Ruthie's, Roy's, another partner of ours, medical marijuana dispensaries. Well, they can't advertise, Heath. They can't
Yeah.
advertise for themselves for a myriad of reasons, right? Regulations being what they are.
Hmm.
So I said, hey, um, I'm a medical cannabis user and patient myself. So I believe in what you guys are doing and the service that you're providing. I got a big mouth. I'm already out there shouting at everyone all the time. Let me go tell them about you. And on the backside of that, you get to provide, you know, promotional materials that you're going to give to people anyway.
Hmm.
I get to put them right into people's hands. They get something great. I get their email address. It's just a win-win, right? And now you get something for giving me your email address.
Yeah.
So, and we're providing value to local businesses. So we're trying to team with a lot more local businesses as well. It's just a business card. Throw it in there. It's no different. We're pretty much holding a business convention at every show for local
Sure.
businesses that may struggle to get their stuff out there. So it's collaboration, it's community. I mean, starts and ends to me is so much more than just my band. It's not my band, you
Hmm.
know. It's a collection of musicians and friends that I've made over 25 years of being a musician that I get together with and make music and make memories. That's we're not in the music
Yeah.
business, Heath. We're in the memory making business, and that's something that I've really um, trying to get across this year is that we're trying to make every show special. You know, what does a little
Yeah.
VIP badge mean to me? You know, my face on something doesn't mean anything to me. It's not special to me, but it's special to someone else. I was trying to find if I had one of them, but around, but I don't seem to. But um, it's not about me. I don't do the meet and greets because I'm important. I do them because it's important to our fans to be able to just come say hello and take a picture.
Yeah.
It's nothing to me to
Well,
spend
and
that few minutes.
yeah, I mean, you talk a lot. I mean, that's one of the interesting things about, trying to make any kind of a career, whether how small or large you want to make it in being a songwriter and being a musician, is the whole business aspect of it and connecting with people is it's the entire business in a lot of ways. Like, obviously you have to have the content, you have to have, you got to know how to write and how to play songs and how to perform. That's all those are all skills that build into the connection business. I switched to Substack for everything because, again, it's that direct email contact with
Yep.
with people that are actively choosing to stay connected with me, instead of me just throwing content up on Instagram or, X or whatever the case may be, which I still do, because those are where a lot of people are at and you still need to promote yourself and everything. But when it comes to staying connected and, what am I going to be doing and really getting to know me and what's going on behind the scenes, that's all on Substack now. And it's obviously it's still a social media platform, but it's a little bit more, has a little bit more depth to it in terms of that business side. And you talked a lot about that, and that's an interesting thing too with choosing to do something like this, because you have that whole business aspect of it, which is a skill in and of itself. But then you've also got the art of just writing a song, which, like you brought up with Jelly Roll and your guys's, just looking at the authenticity behind who the person is. That's something that I think we're seeing more and more. I mean, in the past 10 years, I should say, I've seen people preferring the authenticity of the artist versus uh, the polished work. When you look at, the late 90s, early 2000s, especially in the country music industry, pop music for sure, everything felt like it was just conceived in a boardroom, and it was polished, nice and clean. And hey, this is a song we're going to put out, and none of it felt real. And that's one of the things, especially with country music, when you don't have that authenticity behind it, people can tell like that. I mean, they
Right.
just know that, hey, this is not. I mean, you look at some of the songs that have come out even recently. They put out songs that have these. The best example I like to use is the um, Richmond, North of Richmond from
Yep.
I
Oliver
always
Anthony.
forget
Yep.
his name. Oliver Anthony. You look at the authenticity and the explosion that song had, just like pointing out something versus the what felt like to me the song "Try That in a Small Town," written by 5 people, probably in a room, and it like was trying to capitalize on some type of um, just anger and frustration, almost like a manufactured type of anger. But then you have this
Well,
one
and
guy in the hills somewhere who just pours out his heart, and that song just blows up. You know what I mean?
right.
Because people recognize that it's real. It's absolutely real from him.
Well, and the funny thing about the Aldine thing is that the song had been out for months. The song had been
Oh
out for
yeah, that's
months
what.
until they had made the video and the label made a
Yeah,
conscious choice, or whoever made the conscious choice uh, to
amplify it.
do that. That was
Yeah.
done on purpose, right? It did
Oh
exactly what it was
yeah.
supposed to do. And that's
Yeah.
the kind of sad part of the game, right? Is that there's a lot of tricks and there's a lot of stuff that the industry and the big industry can do, and that's, I mean, the
Well,
the
their job is to
theater.
make money, right?
Right. Well, and just the
Yeah.
theater that is the entertainment industry, mainstream media
Yeah.
you throw
Yeah.
in there, it's nothing but entertainment as well, right? So, um, yeah, it's kind of gross.
Yeah.
So I tried,
Well,
I tried to
I
get as
get I get the
far
gist of
away.
it. R
Right.
Yeah. No, I get the gist of it, like, I understand what they are. Like, they're a business trying to make a profit. They put out a song, didn't really do much. They had to find a way to make money off of it, so they make a music video, they create some outrage and blah, 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 blah. I mean, I can't prove any of this, so, like, this is just me speculating because of, comparing the 2, but it just seemed like there was like, "Hey, if we manufacture some outrage here, we can actually make some money off of this song because of what it is," right? Versus, like, that's 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 one way to do it, but again, like, that they're doing something that is completely different from, I think, what you and I are trying to do and what a lot of other, like, just indie, authentic songwriters and musicians are trying to do. They're trying to create art. They're trying to put their inner soul, for lack of better words, out there to the world. And if the money happens, I mean, great. No one's going to really ever say no to that. But that's not the primary focus of what we're doing. Like you were saying, you're not going to make any money off of streams. I'm in the same boat. I'm never going to make any money off of streams, right? So why do you make songs? Why do you put them out there? Well, because some part of you feels like you have to, because it's just who you are.
Well, and it may change someone's life, Heath. That one song may keep someone from killing
Sure.
themselves. It may be the song they walk
Yeah.
down the aisle to. Example. So a big moment for me, um, was last summer. Last summer, my wife got tickets. We went to see Alexandra Kay, independent artist. Gal's blowing up right now, right? She's top of iTunes. She's doing all this stuff. Totally independent. I'm sure she has some, label working with her now because she's on Billboard charts and tour. You know what I mean? But last
Sure.
summer, she was independent, on tour by herself, self funding, went and found her sponsors, did it all. That's where I learned the meet and greet. I had 100 people lined up in the middle of July sun in Sioux Falls in front of the icon waiting to see her. And she spent a minute with every single person, took a picture. Oh, thank you so much. My wife made a sign. She had walked down the aisle to one of her songs, right? Um, she pulled her sign up on stage, made a big deal about it on there. We were front row, and um, that night changed my life. It changed my career, Heath, because I was like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God. And she did it. It wasn't just for us. She did it for everybody. There was girls there and these women and she gave everyone a piece of her. Everyone that was there to see her, she signed every autograph. She did it all. And I went, that's it. That's the connection.
Mm.
That's the human connection that people are dying for right now, Heath. We are dying for it.
Yeah.
We are so isolated. We are so on these and every right. I mean, we're so isolated
Yeah.
and apart
Yeah.
from each other, and they're great tools. I'm not here to crap on technology. I mean, look at what we're doing right now. This isn't
Right.
possible without
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
technology we have. I love it, but it's also creating a disconnect. We all know it. We all see it. Um, and that's why it's so important to get people out to live shows again. Get out and see live music. Be part of a community, and that's why I say Starts and Ends is so much more than just a band. It's not about me. I'm coming to your town. I'm coming to your bar, and your friends. Like I'm such a small, insignificant part of what your evening is going to be. Why am I going to come there and
Right.
make it about me? So when
Yeah.
we go and we play cover songs, Heath, for years I always kind of played. I would play the big. I would play the artist that everyone else was playing, but I was like, I'm going to play the B sides and I'm going to play the stuff that you don't really hear. And yeah, while musically
That's
fun and
me.
musicians would always see us and love it, nobody would get
Yeah.
down to it. Now, sing-alongs, dancing songs. That's how I brand what we do as far as our cover shows. And then I mix in my originals because they're in those same veins of country and rock music that I'm already
Sure.
playing. I mix those in. And now I've kind of Trojan horsed my music in with all the stuff that especially playing a
Mm-hmm.
lot more country music now. I'm taking Fishing in the Dark into Copperhead Road, into Garth Brooks, and I'm playing hits, man, and then I'm sneaking my song in,
Yeah.
or a song or two of mine in, and then I'm coming back with the hits. What's the point of me trying to get? I'm not even that great of a musician, right? I'm not trying to go deep. I'm not out there playing Rush. I'm playing Brooks and Dunn 1-4-5 blues stuff, but that's
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
people enjoy dancing to. That's what people enjoy singing every word to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's trying to make it as much about the people that we're going to play for as possible, while still, hey, look at us, right? It's always going to be, hey, look at me. But what can I do to make sure that you have the best night of your life, right? We only
Sure.
got one night together. Let's make the best of it, and that's why the swag bags are so fun, and having that. It's just it's a laminate, right? It's a piece of paper and some laminate. It costs me pennies. I make it at home. I cut them myself. I got
Yeah.
a whole bunch. We get lanyards from our partners. It's nothing to me to spend a few minutes making those. But if that hangs on your mirror as a vestige of the best night of your year, possibly, or the night that you met your future wife or husband, or like that matters.
Mm-hmm.
That matters to people. So
So
any small thing
you're
that
kind
we
of
can
looking
do.
more at like you're creating experiences, entire experiences, and when you go out to do a show or do a gig, you're not looking to just, hey, I got a gig, I got to go play some music. You're creating almost an entire event with every gig you book. Would
Yeah,
you say?
because
Would
why
you agree
why
with that?
why would you want to come out and just? There's so much music out there now, and there's so many guys and gals out there doing the exact same thing that I'm doing. If I can't provide an experience, why are you going to come out and see me?
Hmm.
Why
Yeah.
why why would I come out to see me? So that's how I started to frame everything. I don't have any hit songs. I don't have that thing out there yet that people are just like, oh my God, Bubba Startz is in town. I got to go see him. I don't have that. I have to sell you on it. So my sell is, hey, come get some free stuff. We're going to have a great time. We're going to do everything that we can. We take request. I can't play every song, but I'm willing to let you shout songs at me. I don't what I'll
Yeah.
tell you no.
Yeah.
I'm very personable on stage, and bringing that kind of house party campfire vibe that's always been my thing to the stage. Now, is that
Hmm.
scalable up to the kind of places that I want to be playing, at the end of the year and stuff? I don't know. I don't know. I've watched Cooper Allen do it
Yeah.
in the district and places like that where he's got
Mm.
a kind of the mashup vibe and the house party vibe, and seen it work there. So um, maybe it
I
is.
mean, you never know until
Maybe
you
what
get
we're
there,
doing
right?
is
Maybe,
scalable.
yeah. I mean, maybe when you get there, you'll find the method that's going to work for you, and that's, I mean, that's a big thing that it took me probably longer than it should have to really grasp, in my own music career, was what sets me apart. Because at the very beginning, you're trying to emulate everyone you're influenced and inspired by, right? Like, oh, I want to sound like them, or I want to perform like them, I want to be like this, because you go to a show, even if it's a local person, and you see them perform, and you see the great night everybody had, and you're like, man, that's what I want to do. And then at some point along the path, it shifts to, do how do I make this more my own and more unique, for hey, this is what a show of mine looks and feels like, right? Like the when you what you were just describing with how yours are is very different from mine. Like I don't I'm just a solo acoustic, so I don't have a band behind me or anything like that, so it's a whole different vibe. But like, I just had a gig last Friday, and I mean, man, there were people dancing, there were people having a blast and everything like that. Towards the end of the night, but at the beginning, it wasn't that at all. But slowly, as the night goes on, you kick in a few songs, some of the hits that people know and love, and yeah, I mean, people start to jump into that, and they start to enjoy themselves, and finding that uniqueness to who you are and how you perform is I think it comes with time. I mean, I was looking on your website, and you kind of, I mean, your influences in and of yourself seem to be all over the place, right? Like, and I like, basically you're kind of like, if it's good music, I'm gonna like it, and that's a good approach to take, because then you're not limiting yourself to a specific genre. Um, I did want to ask you though, like with that, um, how does that roll into your songwriting in terms of um, the process of putting together a song? Do you find yourself getting, for lack of better words, confused in all the different styles and interests that you like when you're trying to put something out that's yours?
My process is so ethereal that I'm barely part of the process, Heath. I am a conduit for these songs. All I really need to do is to get in that moment. Now, that's not to say that I'm not internally inspired to write things, to write
Mhm.
themes. A song I wrote, recently. Two of the most recent songs that I've written are very emotional, very emotional places for me to come from. Um, but the pen goes to paper, right? I sit in that feeling, right? Um, and to just kind of sit with that and let that come out. I've had
Mhm.
several songs, several tear-soaked pages where I'm just letting that flow, letting those words. Now, that's not to say that there's not editing that takes place on the backside, but you kind of have to just let things go. And I think I got really good at that really early, right? Of
Hmm.
staying out of my own way and not like, oh, I need to write this song, right? I need to write this, and that's why I
Sure.
don't like the oh, you got to write a song a day, and it's got to be, unless you're Clayton Ryan, who is just like the most phenomenal songwriter I've ever met in my life and can do it all. But
It's some it's
um,
it's fantastic to watch that man work. I would say that, but yeah.
I don't even know what's going on there right now, right? It's unreal. I save them all, and I'm just like, I can't even ingest a song a day, a brand new song a
Yeah.
day. So the fact that you're outputting that is unreal. It's unreal. Somebody
Yeah.
get this man a publishing deal. What are we doing? And they're
Right.
great songs.
Right.
They're great songs. I don't I don't have that. I have to be internally inspired. I have to be invested in that because that's my something special. Connecting from my heart to your heart, to their heart, to everyone's, telling familiar stories. I've put myself through the ringer, Heath. Um, I spent, a decade pretty much just out living life. Now, um, it wasn't just for the purpose of screwing my life up. I was gathering stories, and not
Sure.
all the stories
Yeah.
are written yet. I got 40 pretty polished songs that I can already record. So while I don't have a back catalog of recorded material, I do have a back catalog of songs that are ready to go. I have 19 or so that I have demos or something of, like I said, send it to Tom. Hey, Tom, here's the vibe. Send me a song back in a month or less. So
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate to have that. Um, and I haven't been focused on the songwriting process as much because I have these 40 that need to get done, right? It's hard for me to like, okay, business hat, let's get these recorded and work on all this. And then at the same time be wearing the songwriter hat and being inspired and doing that. So the very few songs that I've written, Rise Up, Everlasting, um, You Are My World, a song for my wife, those have been deeply emotional songs, right? I couldn't keep
Hmm.
them down. They came pouring out
Sure.
and
Yeah.
were pretty much complete songs from the get-go. It was written, At one point I thought I was like, "Oh no, I need another verse on this song." Well, I'd forgotten. I look on the back of the page. I was like, "Oh no, there it is. Oh, that looks pretty good. I guess this song's done." You know?
God, that's
And
nice.
not
That's
and
cool.
not trying I don't force it. Oh, this song needs a bridge. Oh, this we need this here. No, 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 no. Just leave it
Yeah.
be, man. Leave it leave it be. The
Yeah.
song will kind of tell you. I'm a big Rick Rubin fan. Um
Oh,
and
yeah.
Right. I'm
Yeah.
reading through his book and I kind of it's almost like a daily affirmations or something to me, right?
It's
It's
so
not
good.
something that you read cover to cover. It's a slow read. I'll read a few pages or something and try to absorb that, but so much inside of that book was already how I was living. Now, maybe that's, my relationship with psychedelics early on when I'm a teenager, in my 20s, right?
Yeah.
Um a relationship with marijuana. I don't know. I'm not saying that people who haven't had those experiences can't be tapped into that. But I definitely think
Hmm.
that these songs are out there. There's no way the Beatles were just that good of songwriters, right? Like they were tapped into something
Yeah.
unbelievable. And I really think that about all musicians and people who get that spark. Is there the one off somebody just writes a great Billy Ray Cyrus or something, Achy Breaky Heart. Now did that come from some deep emotional place? Probably not, right? There's two different there's two different music businesses, right? um
Sure.
but
Absolutely.
yeah, that's definitely, I think guys like us, that it has to kind of come from somewhere, whether it's out in the ether or whether it's internally. You just have to merely be an antenna for that.
Well, and that conduit antenna viewpoint is, I mean, it's an adopted viewpoint from, I think, most songwriters that I interact with and talk with. Like they all kind of get this idea that you're actually um connecting yourself to a type of living thing that's trying to insert itself into our reality or into our world, right? So that's really what a song is, that you're just allowing yourself to tune into what's going on, to something that already exists. It just needs to be manifested, right?
A
And I mean, that's a
shirt my wife bought me says music is what feelings sound like. Say
yeah, I mean,
it's
yeah, yeah.
the physical manifestation of that, right? Whether it's out there, like I said, whether it's just a collective consciousness feeling or whether it's
Mhm.
that hit me, somebody's had to feel that way before too. And I'll take it down to this. Rise Up and Everlasting, I wrote like same day. Same day. One, Rise Up is kind of in the vein of the Oliver Anthony stuff, the first bit of it, our first single, and why it was important for me to get it out there. It's kind of a call to action. It's a wake up.
Yeah,
Hey, there are things going on
yeah,
around you. I don't care what side you are, open the eyes. We're all in this together. We're all, the only solution that we have are you
yeah.
and me. right? So let's be about us. Now, that was kind of a collective thing, right? That was just a feeling from just everything. The Oliver Anthony thing had just exploded, and I was like, yep, feeling that
Yep.
vibration around the world. Everlasting is a song I wrote about after, finding out that my granny's cancer that had been in remission for 2 decades had come back, was aggressive, and she probably had a few months left to live, right?
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
that's a deeply internal
Yeah.
feeling now, you know?
Yeah.
And the song ends up being not some like sweet thing. It's a rock song. It's a ba 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 da 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 da. It's got a lot of energy, but the
Hmm.
theme and the chorus is time's everlasting, time never lasts, you know?
Yeah.
And that's such a poignant theme, and that's why it's a rock song with poignant lyrics. Where does it fit in rock music now, right? So I have this great song that in the music business almost has no home because there's no place for it to land. So I'm
Yeah.
almost forced to, because I'm so all over the place. I have no choice but to be direct to fan. Because I don't, you can't niche me, and I'm not going to niche
Yeah.
myself. I'm not going to pigeonhole
Yeah.
myself when I don't want to. The last show, well, I mean, I just had a show last night, but 2 weeks ago we played a show with Night Shield, who is a native hip hop rapper. Been in the game out here since the early 2000s, and we played a show
Oh, cool.
together. I'm not,
Yeah.
you're not going to pigeonhole me. I'm not going to allow you to do it. And I'm not going to allow myself to do that.
Well, and that's, I mean, you nailed it on the head there. That's one of the benefits of direct to fan um, consumption, or whatever you want to call that, is people get to, not only do they get to hear the song, is maybe they hear the song and they're like, oh, that's kind of cool, but they actually get to hear a little bit of the story behind the song, which gives them that connection to it as well, because they understand why that lyric says what it says in the way that it says it, because they understand the depth behind it a little bit, which, I mean, for me, anytime I make a connection to a song, there's whether it's something I just instantly hear and I like, my first thought is, what's the story behind this? I'd like to know what it is. And then there's other songs that I'll create my own depth to. Like, there's a song, I forget which one. Jason Isbell writes a ton of songs that, like, I don't want to know the story behind them, because for me, I've like already applied my own depth to it,
Right.
you know, because it connected with me on something that I've experienced in my life. And there's a certain part where, like, well, if I know why he wrote the song, then that changes the story's message for me. And I don't want that to happen. Some of them I'll go and I'll find the story behind them, but there's a lot of them, man, that I'm like, no, this song for me means this. But it comes down to that, uh, making that, as a fan of his, that connection myself to what he's doing and understand what's happening. And that happens, when you're at his level, it can happen regardless. But, like, when you're at our level, more often than not, that happens through that direct connection with people that are listening to our music,
Yep.
you know?
Well, and yeah, something I just get so listening to you talk music too. I'm such a fan. It's kind of unreal to me that we're sitting here talking, and just being on the podcast was an unreal thing to me even just a few years ago, right? I've always been such a fan of music and what it can do, what it has
Hmm.
done, and what you were talking about with the song, and that's the fourth dimension, right? Um, I
Right.
can write
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
song and make it, and then hey, this is mine, and then I give it to you, and you make it your own. That's
Yeah.
because there's plenty of songs where I don't know the stories behind, and I don't really care because that song means this to me. And
Right.
that's kind of the thing about streaming, and what makes it great is that I'm able to put that out there for you to be. It's whatever you want it to be now. You can have it, and hopefully my songs bring you the comfort, or something. I don't care. I hope my songs don't make you angry. It's not,
Yeah.
that's why
Right. Right.
I can never do the big model, the manufactured outrage. I don't want anybody to be mad at me. That's not why I'm in
Yeah.
the business. I probably piss enough people off just in daily life, just by being myself,
Right.
right? I'm not the
Yeah.
easiest person to get along with. I got some edge, but I'm also very hyper focused on what I'm doing. I have a plan that I'm executing. I've already got plans into 2025, 2026, goals that for the band, for ourselves, how many songs we're going to release, how many people on the email. Like this is these are stepping stones. This is a process that people are
Yeah.
in the ground floor on. And that's why I just recently started a Patreon page, same as your Substack. I'm just not putting it out there. You guys want to know more about us? Okay, well, come over here. Come over here where I can communicate
Yeah.
directly with you. It's small right now. We have a group on Facebook as well, Startz and Friends, right? Clever. So
Clever,
that's
man. That's
our
good.
group of fans that, want to go a little bit deeper with us, that now I can target more stuff directly to you. It's just a marketing tool, really, but it's also, I encourage all of our local business owners and people in there and other musicians, share your stuff in this group. This group of people, like us, like me, they're probably friends of mine, or fans of mine. Um, they're probably going to like you because I like you, Heath, because I like you, Devin, and all these other guys. And please use this
Yeah.
group to market yourself as well, and put yourself out there. Um, these groups and different subgroups and everything are so important because not everybody fans the same, right? Not everyone's going to want to know the story behind every single song and all my innermost
Sure.
thoughts. Some
Yeah.
people are just going to, hey man, Triple Fine's a great song, poppy little catchy tune. I'm feeling fine. Okay, cool. That's great.
Yeah.
Then that's fine. Let them fan where they're going to fan. You stream us on Spotify, that's great. But for those people that get attached to a song like Everlasting, or some of these deeply emotional songs that I have that I'll be releasing, um, you want to go deeper, you want to know the meanings, you want to be able to contact me, there's an avenue for that, right? There's an avenue to go deeper. And right now we got it set at $10 a month. I got all kinds of perks on the backside of that I can do. You can get free shirts, free tickets for like rent. I can do whatever
Hmm.
I want to. But your $10 a month is proving to me that you want my time, because I'm going to put time into those platforms. I'm kind of
Yeah.
done putting time and energy more than I need to into getting playlisted for Spotify and to doing this and doing. I'm not doing it. I want to connect
Yeah.
with fans directly. If you love music and you love my music, I would love to meet you. I'd love to see you at a show. I'd love to send you some stickers and other free stuff and to get you on our. I'd love to bring you into our world so that you can be a part of our community, not just a fan, a part of something. And
Hmm.
that's what's important. And I think it's important for people right now. We have no community. There is no community in our world, in our country, in the world today, right? So I think it's
Yeah.
vitally, vitally important as humans that we get together. And if our group isn't for you, that's fine. Go find another one. Go find
Yeah.
people that align with your values. And that's why it's been so nice for us, aligning with local business partners that do align with our values, and they are more than grateful for the opportunity to advertise their business. So it's just a crazy awesome opportunity, a spot that we've landed in. I got a couple venues out here that are allowing me now to book my friends and to pay them very well to do so, right? It's not, well, we got a couple $100 and this and that. No, they gave me a budget that I can work with. Now we get to throw some really good shows. We brought Roe and Grace
Hmm.
out in November. We got,
Nice.
Devin, Chris, and Clayton on a show in April. My band's playing Dr. Lucky's, and Mitchell is a great spot for us. Stringers down here in Yankton has been a great spot for us. And I mean, I'm opening my books to everybody. There's not a single musician. I put the APB out on our Facebook page. If you're a musician and you want to get paid this summer, get a hold of me. If I can't get you on one of my shows, I will give you my whole contact list. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. It's about growth.
Hmm.
It's about synergy. It's about supporting each other and continue to growing the community that we're building. And we're so fortunate, like, and Heath, you're a big part of that too. And I have to really give you a lot of credit for the songwriter community in the Black Hills being as tight as it was. I know lately you're not as involved maybe as you were, 10 years ago,
Yeah.
even 5 years ago. But, um, that community still grows. And now me moving from the Black Hills to the Yankton area and then becoming more, I don't want to say entrenched, but more involved in the Sioux Falls community up there, that we're able to kind of bring east to west. I've saw a good friend of mine, Mitchell Stafford. He's on the radio, Stitch on Hot 93.1. Great guy promoting the music business and doing some stuff. Um, He's working with Corey Church now, who puts on the Four Winds Fest in Sioux Falls, and then his partners in Omaha. So in the last year, there's been a lot of connections made between the Black Hills and the Sioux Falls area, now Omaha, and now so like the Midwest scene is expanding and connecting. And we're just trying to dot that in with little places to play. We'd like to get more Minneapolis bands to come through and to give them a pipeline right through South Dakota. Hey, we got a spot you can play on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and maybe catch a Sunday on the way back home. And building that
Sure.
for everyone. It's not just building it for a few bands or just for me or just my band and then this band and these other people that work with us too. I'm not about that. Anybody that wants to work with us wants to work with me. I'm going to reciprocate that. And if you don't,
Hmm.
that's fine too. Like there's plenty of opportunities for everyone.
Yeah. Man, I mean, that's pretty cool to hear you say all that and everything that you're doing out there. I did want to mention. I love the play on words that people use, like the starts and friends, and I mean, even the band name starts and ends. That's pretty clever. I call my fans heathens just to use the
Heathens,
play on
great.
words. It's
I'm
pretty good.
proud heathen.
Uh,
Proud heathen here.
how do you when you're going through these connections that you're making? Do you think through any ways of collaborating in the songwriting process with some of these other artists, or is that something that you haven't really dove into yet?
And
Or maybe
that's
you
just
have and I
not
just missed it.
right. Well, and just not yet. I mean, obviously, I'm collaborating, with Tom and Clayton on the last song. Where that was more, hey, here's
Sure.
this song, I'll pay you to play on it. Now they still had artistic expression on it. Their harmony
Of course.
parts were not written for them. And when they sent it back
Mhm.
to me, I went, "Holy cow, boys, that was awesome!" That song's never been
Yeah.
done like that, right? I've never even heard
Yeah.
it like that in my head. You guys did some vocal stuff that I would have never thought of. How awesome! So while it wasn't necessarily in the songwriting process, it was in the recording process. So yeah, there's
Mhm.
collaboration, undoubtedly. I mean, anytime two musicians or a group of musicians get together, you're going to have that. Now, have I specifically sat down with other musicians and written songs together? No, I haven't done that. But I'm just now
Yeah.
getting in the position where I have the space to do that. Until, I
Sure.
mean, really in the last 2 months has this space finally been good to host that space, right? Um, so now I hope to do a lot more of that. I mean, the avenues are all there, right? The connections are there, and um, it will happen, right? Undoubtedly,
Yeah.
it's going to happen. It just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, that's I talked with Chris well, I guess Chris Graves, for those of you that know him publicly. Um a lot about that collaboration process, and he had some conversations with some people down in Nashville and a few other of his creator friends and everything like that. And he said one of the people, every time he talks with him, he constantly asks him, um, have you been collaborating? Who have you been connecting with? Who have you been working with? Who have you been making stuff with? And one of the things that he kind of really inspired me a bit was just, hey, if you have all this skill and talent, why not put it together and see what happens? See what comes up out of it, And I sent him a song of mine that I'm like, I wrote this song years ago. I'm never going to do anything with it, you know, see what you can do with it and make it your own, because it's that kind of thing and then now that's a different process of us actually getting together in a room and working through something, live in the moment. But that's one of the beauties of collaboration, is it can take any shape or form. I mean, you collaborated with Freer and Ryan on the production side of it, and how do you kind of make this song sound, put your influence into this really a finished song of yours, right? And I'm interested to see, like, just as time goes on, what that looks like when that influence gets to the ground level of a song being birthed. I think it'd be pretty cool. So.
Right. Right. And my thing is, I'd love to write a song with Clayton, but what can I add to what he's already doing? why,
Yeah,
why,
that's a tough.
why do you need me, brother? You know, but there's
Right.
just so much. I love writing songs. When I was growing up, my friend and I, we'd kind of write songs together, and he would kind of write words, and I've always been able to read words and kind of, okay, this is the melody, and just kind of feel the melody out, right? And then to be able to find that on the guitar. I've been singing since I could talk. I've been singing a lot longer than I've been playing guitar, and I started playing actually drums in concert band before picking up the bass for jazz band in 7th grade, before finally landing
Oh,
on a
okay.
guitar in 8th grade, right? So I have this really good rhythmic melodic bass before I ever picked up a guitar. And then when the guitar happened, it was like, oh, this is really easy to fit words to music now.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
and to find those things. And then it took a decade before it was like, somebody told me, it's only 7 notes. And I've been playing for a decade, and I was like, oh, stuff's so hard sometimes. And it was literally that little piece where I was like, oh wow, yeah, okay, yeah, you can't really fool me, and they're all going to go this way. And that's when I never took any theory or anything like that, but then I started to recognize the patterns. And growing up playing
Sure.
Grateful Dead music helps a lot with that too. They do a lot of the minor flatted sevenths, and weird chord progressions, not just your 1 4 5
Yeah.
very typical pop structures, right? So I had already had an influence of really intricate songwriting, musical melodic songwriting, just by nature of being a fan of the Grateful Dead.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, they certainly they're operating in the 4th dimension. I think just that's their default state. to
Right.
throw that back to earlier, they're doing a whole other thing there. I mean, a lot of my bluegrass friends are big fans of the Grateful Dead, and that's always been an interesting connection with those different types of genres. And it's cool to see, because when you sit back and you think about it makes a ton of sense as to why they would fit,
Right. Well, and
but
some people don't. If your knowledge of the Grateful Dead is just Touch of Grey and Truckin', well, then that's a very cursorily, small
yeah,
section of what they did musically, right?
right,
Any Americana, band or fan loves early Grateful Dead. Working's Man Dead is a classic. American Beauty is a
yeah,
classic, Americana on there. And that, I mean, it's undoubtedly influenced me. You can listen to my music and go, oh yeah, there's definitely hints of that. And I'm just getting started.
hmm
We're young men, Heath. We're just getting started in our songwriting
I
careers, really.
appreciate that.
You know? Well, and
Yeah,
the collaboration thing is that's where Nashville has the advantages, right? That's where young songwriters going there is such an advantage, because you get in the room. I look at a gal like Tiffany Johnson. Imagine the invaluable experience that she's gathering, having moved there as a
sure,
very young person and being as dedicated as she is to her craft, and being involved, being in writers' rooms, being at writers' rounds, being in all that's invaluable. Invaluable
yeah,
experience. It's something I should have done. I really screwed up by going west to the West Coast, because it was dead out there. I mean, I wasn't going to be a pop artist. It wasn't going to happen. So, but that really wasn't why I was going out there anyway. So, um, but where we can benefit is that we have a scene. You don't have to be in Nashville to collaborate anymore, and that's where the
right,
advantage is
right,
maybe waxing a little bit or waning a little bit because of Zoom. because of things like this, because collaboration is as easy as I use BandLab. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but
Oh
it's
yeah,
a
yeah,
cloud-based recording software program. I got all kinds of ideas up there, right? And you can throw
yeah,
them up there and put them out to the world, and people can find them and add their stuff to them. And these things are great. Where music is going is so awesome to think about because of collaboration, right? And that's why I say it hasn't happened yet. It's going to happen. I just have my studio set up so that I can collaborate with other people. It wasn't a unwillingness to do it. It was not having the, several $1,000s in studio equipment
right,
to do
right.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's certainly, especially starting out, that's certainly a barrier is, and getting any kind of equipment. I mean, you got to have, at the very minimal, something that you can use to connect with people and get some type of a decent sound recorded, as you're doing stuff. And I mean, mine is insanely minimal, but I did that on purpose because, like, one, I've got 4 kids. I don't have money to just throw at all the fun toys that I have my eye on sitting in my reverb cart that are just going to sit there forever,
Yep.
because, like, man, it'd be nice, but I'm dreaming.
Yeah, I see
Um,
your microphone
no,
there. SM7B ain't cheap. Same.
no, they're
You know what I
not.
mean?
This took a while.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, brother.
this
And
was this was a
not until I got the Synchrony card from Sweetwater and I actually had
oh
credit
yeah,
because I finally, in 2018 decided I was going to get a job and be a productive human being, right? And rebuilt my
yeah,
life, have all these things even been available to me. I thank God
yeah.
every day for my wife because she provides the stability that I've always lacked in my life to have these things, like
Yeah.
it's her credit and her family that made us even having a house a reality in 2020, right? So
Mhm.
I've done none of this on my own. Yeah, most of it's on credit. I've bought it and paid it
Yeah.
off, and I'm working and
Yep.
paying for it out of pocket. Now the band is starting to pay for more as I'm, we're gaining a little more notoriety. I can charge a little more for our shows. A little bit of that goes back into the band itself, but that barely covers our advertising budget for Facebook ads.
Right.
All the
Right.
equipment
Right.
is coming out of pocket, and um, any business owners out there that want to sponsor bands, I'm sure Heath or I would be open to any kind of opportunities that may present
Yeah.
themselves, right? Um,
Yeah.
and that's where it is. I hope that people start to see our dream and to see that it's not about us. Heath, I know you're not about yourself because I've seen your legacy is the songwriters, is the rounds, is the festival. Like I know you're a lot more removed from it now than you were in the
Mhm.
past, but you left a stamp. That stuff wasn't there. I grew up in here, and when I was in Deadwood, 2009, 2010, through 2012, um, the bands were all the guys that had been doing it since the 70s and 80s. That was pretty much it. There wasn't a lot of younger bands. Garrett Holtz was in Starts and Ends when he had first moved back from college, right, and playing with us. And then he obviously went on to do so many other things. And Garrett's a huge part of the
Is there a
music scene there
band
now. And I always knew that he would be, right.
Yeah.
It's
Is
it's
there a band he's
fantastic.
not in?
Right. Well, and that's those bands weren't there. So I went away for 5 or 6 years, right? From 2012, I was kind of out of the scene, and in 2015, I left the area. Come back in 2018, and coming back, there's all of these bands now. There's High Rise, Camp Comfort, Nevada, and the crew are doing their thing, and so you got this great reggae scene now. Fantastic, love it. Keith is doing these things with all these songwriters. That's where I'm getting introduced to Devin Sance and Chris Husengate, Chris
Mhm.
Graves. Incredible songwriters, Clayton Ryan in there. These guys are playing with
Yeah.
the Brandon Jones band. And I'm like, well, how much talent is on that stage right now?
Yeah.
And all these
Yeah.
incredible bands. And now the younger generation, you have your Tiffany Johnsons, your Rowan Grace, there's people that I don't even know about out there that are beginning their careers, right? So let's build a
Mhm.
scene, let's build a community that is going to foster this and foster these younger generations for generations, right? We can lay the groundwork right now for a future of music in the state of South Dakota um, that's connected, right? That's connected from end to end, and just fosters more and more music and creative people, and lets everyone have a part. Maybe everyone's not going to be a star. Everyone can be a part of the community in some way.
Yeah. Yeah, you and I have the exact same dream for what this area and up here in South Dakota could be. When I started doing all the stuff, I kind of had in my head, I had the vision of like, let's create a music hub in the northern part of North America. I mean, you've got your West Coast, you've got Austin, you've got Nashville, you've got New York, and you know Seattle, and there's a lot of music stuff that happens there. But when you look at like the middle area of
Flyover
the United
country.
States, it just gets forgotten about. And I mean, there's a crazy amount of talent that just gets overlooked by all of it. And yeah, building that community, yeah, it might take 50 years, it might take my entire lifetime, but if you start now, the generations to come, they've got something they can build on. And I think that's worth spending your life on, building something like that. I think that's pretty cool. So
Leaving a
it's
legacy.
cool to hear someone else say that. Yeah.
Yeah, leaving a legacy, right?
Yep.
That's what
Yep.
our songs are. I think of it as this. So I ended up losing my granny last year around this time. It's been about a year now. Um, and the other day I was listening to a voicemail that I had saved of hers, and thank goodness I was smart
Oh,
enough to save
yeah.
it in the cloud and everything too, right? So I can go back to it anytime, and it's just her saying hi. But her voice, it brought me to tears. It shook me to my very core, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to go grab a hold of my wife. And it's like, I want to
Hmm.
leave those with my kids. My kids are 7 and 8. They walk around singing my songs all the time. They know these
That's
songs. These are
awesome.
their songs now,
Yeah.
right? This is their
Yeah.
childhood that is happening right in front of them. So yeah, to have these songs out there and to recording them so that they can show these songs to their kids and their grandkids and then their great grandkids. Like this is a legacy that's lasting. Like I said, generations. We're trying to build, a generational wealth of possibilities for future musicians and creative people alike. You know as well as I
Yep.
do, video is necessary. You don't need to be a musician to be a necessary function of the scene. Promoters,
Right.
producers, organizers, people just to pass out flyers, man. Like it's a street team, people, getting people excited about connecting with other people again. I think that's where it starts. It's where it starts is getting people excited about coming out and meeting new people and experiencing togetherness, experiencing
Hmm.
community, not just as a word, but as a feeling. And then continue growing, rinse and
Yeah.
repeat. Each
Right.
event
Right.
continues to grow on top of the next. And that's why hubs like Dr. Lucky's, where it's a 150, 200 cap room. Jalon Crossland's coming through May 17th. That
Yeah.
doesn't become a
Yeah.
possibility without a bar taking a chance on me to say, hey, you obviously know what you're doing. We'll give you the budget. Bring it here. Cool. A
Hmm.
few of them, it only takes a few of them to really solidify, okay, we have a scene here now. Mitchell all of a
Yeah.
sudden is more than just Thirsties. Where we're Thirsties, great bar, huge place, awesome spot, loved playing there. But they only have so many gigs a year, right? They only have so many
Right.
bands that they're
Right.
hiring a year, and we need to be able to supplement that. And they're hiring mostly cover bands. Well, I'd really like to focus on people who are trying to have a original music career and are creating and producing and doing their thing. I want to support those people because those people
Yeah.
are my community. Those are my people.
Yep.
And
Yep.
not to say, and
Dude,
that's
that
not to say that cover band and that stuff that aren't my people. I play a lot of covers, right? I love that too.
of
It's got
course.
a time and
Yeah.
space. Our problem is that we don't have enough time and space for the original things to create a music scene. Cover bands don't really create a music scene because you're just going and providing a service. You're not trying to
Right.
necessarily build a career. You're getting
Yeah.
paid to do this thing, then you're usually packing up and going home. It's just
Yep.
that they're
That's it.
different things.
That's a very well put way to word that. Is it's a service instead of building a community, building a scene. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's no different than like kicking on a jukebox or hiring a DJ. You're playing someone else's art, right? I mean, versus building your own. Um, dude, this is a great position to end this in. That was a fantastic little monologue you had there at the end. Can you let people know um, where they can find you online? You know, you mentioned the Patreon. Can you kind of guide them
Yep.
to that
So
website?
you
And
Yep. So you can just find everything at startsandends.com. We got links to everything
okay,
there. It's a great basis to learn about us a little bit, learn about, not only what we're doing, but why we're doing it, who we're doing it with, and why the team is who it is, right? Everyone that I'm working with this year has taken an opportunity or, taken a chance at an opportunity on me. I didn't really have a lot to offer. So that's why, guys like Night Shield, Crime Spree, Devin, Chris, Clayton, Jalon, Humbletown. We got some guys out of Kansas City, Kurt Allen. Like there's a lot of people that took a chance on me, and we're keeping the crew kind of tight this year. Heath, I'd love to have you out. Maybe later this fall we can put together a little songwriter deal at Dr. Lucky's as
sure,
well, and have you out
that'd be
and
fun.
do more East meets West stuff. So yeah, everybody can go to
Hmm.
startsandends.com and check us out there. Join the email list, and then go as deep as you want to. Go. You can join the Patreon. It's $10 a month, or you can join for free and get some of the free content. And follow us on all the social media stuff. It's all there. We're everywhere.
Yeah, where's your next gig? Where are you playing?
So our next
You're
show is
coming
at
out towards me, aren't you?
yeah. So February 23rd, I will be at Lil's, which is the second floor of the Midnight Star in Deadwood. They're building a great little thing there. Would love to get more
Yeah.
songwriters in the door over there. I know Delaney Johnson's playing there recently and quite a bit. So, yeah, she's building a cool little thing. Heath, I'll get you some info. Maybe we can get you up there as well. But yeah, come
Yeah,
see
that'd be
me in
cool.
Deadwood, February 23rd, and then March 15th in Mitchell, South Dakota. We are at Dr. Lucky's for our Triple Fine release party. March 15th is when Triple Fine's hitting streaming. So, figured we'd throw a big St. Patrick's Day weekend party and yeah, want to celebrate having the second single out now.
That'll be cool, man. That's fantastic, dude. I'm excited. We got to finally connect and kind of have this type of long form conversation. I learned way more about you than you know. That's one of the things too. Going back to connecting with people online, like when you actually get to have a conversation with someone, you learn way more about them than you ever could just by following their social media accounts or anything like that. So if you're at if someone's at one of your shows, I would encourage them to go do a meet and greet and get to know you a little bit more because you're a cool dude. This was a lot of
Thank
fun. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Ethan. It's
Yeah.
a great opportunity for me because these are conversations that I have with people. I have the same conversation all the time. Now to have a video of this where I can just go, hey, just go listen to my conversation with Heath,
Just
right?
go
It
watch
kind
it.
of explains
Right.
what I'm going to
Yeah.
tell you anyway. So thanks for having me. It was a pleasure. Episode 69. What a joy.
Yeah, that's right, man. Yeah, I couldn't have timed that better if I thought about it, but that's pretty cool. Yeah, dude, thanks a ton. I sure appreciate it.
Yeah, you too. Have a great one, man. Have a great day.